Is related to one of our traditions. We actually have a contest every year to see, okay, you listen to the analyst and you can see what your forecast is going to be. And this year, we actually like to announce the winner of last year's. It's great when they show up. They had no idea who's going to win. Actually, Tom Hitchman from General Motors. Tom, would you stand up, please? Nice work. So you officially have bragging rights for a full year and a $100 gift card. We'll try to make a certificate or a PowerPoint or something you can hang on your wall and give James and the other guys a hard time. Adam in particular. Adam should have got that, right? Next I'd like to invite our second keynote speaker. Jacqui actually presented at a summit maybe a couple of years ago, and she did a phenomenal job. She blew me away as well as many of our attendees, and so she's back by popular demand. Please join me in welcoming Jacqui Dedo. She's the Chief Strategy Officer for Dana Holding Corporation, a supplier to the global auto, commercial vehicle, and off-highway markets. She's responsible for leading the development and delivery of Dana's global business plans across the organization. Her bio is in the handout. I encourage you to read that. I think the other main takeaway that I would mention about Jacqui, other than the fact that she'll probably blow you away as well, you got a lot to live up to, Jacqui. I'm building you up here. She's also a member of Kettering University Alumni Hall of Fame since 2005 and has been named one of the top 100 women of the auto industry by Automotive News. So please welcome Jacqui Dedo, please.
Nothing like a great build-up Sunday night with the session running late and everyone were eager to get home and get on with the main show, the cars. Thanks, Anthony. Real quick, first, Mark, great presentation. I see where you are. Really appreciate the insight on the week. I'm going to make one off comment on a question I heard about luxury brands, though it's not asked for. I really think the industry, it's less about just the technology and the service. You have to focus on service, and I've owned a lot of Lincolns in my day, and I think given the team at Ford and what Alan's done there, Lincoln can really knock the socks off pretty quickly of Lincoln with the right service focus. It is a B2C environment, and if you look at jewelry, you look at computers, you look at the next generation, and our generation, what we're spending money on, has a lot to do with not just the product, but the service you get, the intimacy once you have the product. So for what it's worth, I think our luxury brands in North America can come back strong. We have the right attitude and the right service. So with that, we're running late, and while I was given 50 minutes, you'll be happy to know, I think I have 20 slides. I'm gonna try to clip through them relatively quickly. I'm gonna start with the megatrends that we're facing as an industry. And then I'm going to walk on through the implications of those megatrends and what it means to be a top performing supplier, and try to talk a little bit about the pros and cons and the challenges of making capital investments based on what are the megatrends, what are we facing, and what kind of feedback we're getting from the investor community around investments. Now, I used to be an electrical engineer. Do I push the big top button? Our transportation industry is facing 5 major megatrends. Geopolitical shift, which is returning to a multipolar world with increasing regionalism, changing demographics, more people older, more people moving into urban environments. Today already, actually already last year, more than 50% of the world's population now lives in cities. So we, or the majority of the people in this audience, if you live in Detroit suburbia, we are definitely the minority and becoming so fast. So when you think about what you know and how you behave and what all your neighbors think, we are not the leading edge of opinion around the world any longer. We need to pay attention to that. Sustainability is the third, more awareness and pressure on industry to deal with the sustainability issues, not just due to regulation, but because it's the right thing to do, and we're trying to save the planet for our children. Evolution of mobility, greater demand overall, yes. More people means more mobility needs, but trends towards less vehicle ownership in urban areas and new kinds of mobility models. And fifth, of course, advancing technology. With all the science that's coming out, which is wonderful, we're seeing changing customer needs, and as a result, rapid advancements which are shaping the products that we're putting out there. So let's briefly walk through the implications from these. First, on geopolitical shifts. We are having to deal with US and European volatility. We're continuing to see growing brick demand. We're seeing higher import duties, global wealth shift. So the emerged countries are no longer necessarily the wealth dictators, but the emerging or emerged recently countries are owning most of the wealth. We're seeing global operating models. When we say global, we mean everyone's trying to create global models to take advantage of the synergies of the world and get the volume, but you have increased regionalism and a high need to serve local customers. So you have to have a balance between, again, the synergies around the world, but yet feeding the consumer what they need locally against those regulatory requirements to sell your product. And of course, increased regionalism as wealth shifts, as people they have different level on power, the political environment is shifting, and we are seeing stronger and stronger regionalism while we're trying to be global in our operating models. The third, changing demographics. We now have over 20 cities with more than 10 million people. We call those megacities. We're facing huge talent shortages in North America. We know that we're facing a huge shortage of graduates with STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. We have to worry about the fact that new markets are graduating more engineers, scientists, and mathematicians every day than we are, and that'll have a huge impact on our ability to invent and invest. We're seeing more and more needs for low-cost transportation as we get more people with lower income needing to be mobile. Of course, resulting in higher R&D costs with more regulations, more needs to create new technology, more urban living, as I mentioned, and a growing aging population. With a mobility infrastructure that isn't wonderful, we have to think of new mobility methods in order to take care of the aging infrastructure that's continuing to produce and contribute to our GDP. Quite honestly, you focus on what's going on at Davos every year, there are countries doing a much better job at dealing with the issue of how to keep their aging population that's still contributing, because quite honestly, 70 is the new 50, more mobile as we deal with realistic issues of aging. Third, sustainability. Of course, more hybrids and EVs, more efficient internal combustion engines. Nobody says the internal combustion is going away anytime soon. We're dealing with no vehicle cities and zones. We're of course dealing with natural resource issues such as shortages of fuel, water, and food, or at least dependency issues on fuel. And we're of course seeing pressure on the industry to create affordable technologies that meet the sustainability needs and the regulations around the world. The fourth is mobility. And I'm going to start with the bottom one. We're moving from mobility or transportation to the big M, or mobility through connected lifestyles, right? One, it's about getting people around, but two, it's not just with both us and the next generation. Connectivity is becoming as big a mobility issue as transporting people. And learning how to integrate the two of these, as the car is becoming more and more the center or the hub of communication for when you work, play, and vacation, it's key to us. We're seeing new mobility models. We just saw Avis pick up Zipcar for a phenomenal amount of money. We hope that works out for them. It'll be interesting to watch. Lower ownership in urban areas, and of course, growing demand. Then the fifth and last is advancing technologies. We're seeing new industry competitors. That's good, but it's also challenging for those of us who already have a lot of invested capital sitting on the ground. We're seeing energy companies coming in, trying to take a big place, Google, Even Facebook now has an automotive department. So new competitors coming in, that's a plus. New ideas, it's also a challenge. We're seeing digitization acceleration from giga to peta. For all of you, put this in reference, everyone probably has a camera, right? You look at the smart card in your camera, probably has 16 gigabytes. Think about how much information that stores. Technologists believe that within 5 years, we will be able to take a petabyte of information and put it on a piece of silicon the size of a smart card inside your camera. A petabyte is 1,000,000 gigabytes. So when you think about things like a car that can drive autonomously, it's not hard to believe. We have the sensor technology. We understand the controls necessary. The issue has been having sufficient control layering and reliability combined with the sensors and silicon that's small enough to deal with all that math. Well, that silicon's coming, so that is just another step away. So we see science combining in new technology forms. We see nanotechnology moving us very quickly. In America, we've always known that if we can see something, we can engineer it, right? We went from seeing things at the mega level to the micro level, and now at the nano level. It will unlock technology like we haven't seen since the Industrial Revolution. It's a wonderful opportunity for us and our children, if they stay in STEM, to recreate wealth. Nanotechnology, anytime you see such a cliff advancement in technology, it's a huge opportunity to create wealth. It's why we all feel, and hopefully we're encouraging the youth, if we get out the story right, that this is an amazing industry to be part of. It's driving mobility of nations, and it's critical that we continue to get the story out to the youth. And then, of course, we have mobile charging. You know of a couple of places it's being tried, like Barcelona and Britain, where just like when we were all kids and we had our slot cars riding along, only they had a little wire going along. Now there's an F1 track in Britain that's run completely like the pad that you set your iPhone on at night, where you don't connect it, but it only connects remotely as it drives along. Wonderful stuff. I know everyone's saying, yeah, but that's not for prime time. Okay, but what about 3 years from now or 4 years from now?